Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. This isn't a conversation that I wanted to have, and this is not a video that I wanted to make, but as traumatic and as horrifying as the events in Israel and Gaza have been over the last 9 days, it's something that I feel needs to be discussed. I'm just going to come out and say it. The two-state solution hasn't worked, and I don't believe it can ever work. It's not given the Palestinians the autonomy that they desire, and it's not given the Israelis the security that they crave. Everyone feels aggrieved. Everyone feels like the victim. All that the two-state solution has done is create an engine, an infernal machine that drives bitterness, violence, and misery. Vast swathes of the West Bank are still administered by Israel, and the de facto rulers of the Gaza Strip, Hamas, have the total destruction of Israel as their stated aim. How can there be peace in these circumstances when your next door neighbor wants to see you and your family annihilated? Or, the view from the other side, your next door neighbor controls almost every aspect of your life: where you can go, what you can buy, who you can visit, even your supply of water and electricity. How can you even hope for a quiet, peaceful life in such circumstances? It's a recipe for disaster and fundamentally undermines the entire concept of Israel as a place of safety for Jewish people, a place where they will not be forced to live in fear for the crime of being born Jewish. The cycle goes like this. Israel is blamed for making life unpleasant for Gazans. Israel blames Hamas, resentment builds, driving Palestinians towards increasing violence. Hamas stockpiles weapons and then one day attacks Israel. In response, resentment builds in Israel, drawing more Israelis towards the justification of violence against Palestinians as a means of defending themselves against Hamas. The Israeli military responds to the attack, often disproportionately, and more Gazans find themselves drawn to Hamas's objective of destroying Israel. Here's the thing. It's not really a cycle. It's more of a death spiral. So if the two-state solution has well and truly failed, where does that leave us? There's only one way out of this mess that I can see, and you're probably not going to like it. And that's for the people of Israel and Palestine to live together in one country in which the Constitution ensures and guarantees the rights of Jews, Palestinians, Arabs, Christians, everyone who lives there. But what about the Palestinians who don't want to call themselves Israeli? Well, in Northern Ireland, if you want a British passport, you can have one. If you want to have an Irish passport, you can have one. If you want a British passport and an Irish passport, you can have them both. Something similar could be achieved in Israel-Palestine. Could it work democratically? Yes, but you need constitutional safeguards in place. For example, in Lebanon, where they have a system in which the president and prime minister cannot be both from one religious group. You cannot have two Christians or two Muslims holding both those positions. There are examples of how other places around the world suffering from seemingly intractable religious, ethnic, or civil conflict have at least tried to make it work. The one-state solution is not perfect. Far from it. Nothing ever is. It won't fix everything. Violence may still occur. But it could theoretically ensure the end of Hamas as a significant threat and allow Palestinians to return to their ancestral homes from which they were expelled in 1948. And so long as both sides feel represented by their elected representatives and a system is put in place to ensure that happens, there is at least a glimmer of hope that peace could eventually prevail. A country of Israel-Palestine where everyone there can live wherever they want, so long as they can afford to buy or rent a dwelling there. You know, like most normal countries. No more settlers, no more areas A, B, and C. No more apartheid, no more barbed wire and concrete walls. Of course, if reasonable people were in charge of Israel and the Gaza Strip, this might be something that could happen. But reasonable people aren't in charge of either place. However, if the Israeli military do what I think they're going to do in Gaza, the one-state solution might end up being the de facto situation for Israel and the Palestinian territories. Things are moving towards what looks like to me a complete invasion and annexation of the Gaza Strip by Israel over the coming weeks. It looks like, whether wanted or not, the one-state solution is going to be the one that comes into effect. And if that happens, and I can't stress this enough, there needs to be a robust and united international effort to put diplomatic and economic pressure on Israel to ensure that if and when the borders are redrawn, that all Palestinians who have committed no crime, save that of being born in the wrong place at the wrong time, are afforded the exact same rights and dignity as their Jewish compatriots in a free and fair democracy that looks after all of its citizens, no matter their ancestry, religion, or ethnicity. It's something that was achieved in South Africa. It was something that was achieved in Northern Ireland because there was a will to achieve it. The Netanyahu government will not want to do this. They will want to continue to demonize, oppress, and other the Palestinian people because it's politically expedient for them to do so. However, there are a couple of things that may give a little hope. Looking at opinion polls, this war will be Netanyahu's last as prime minister. Israeli voters blame him, at least in part, for the horrific events of October the 7th. His job was to keep them safe. He failed to do so. Also, at the moment, around 2 million Arab Israelis live side by side with Jewish Israelis, making up over 20% of the population. We haven't seen a descent into communal violence, riots, and attacks like we saw a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, but it's quite obvious that as things stand, there is little support amongst Arab Israelis for Hamas and the atrocities carried out in their name, which stands as a small slither of light in these dark, dark days. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but please be respectful. This isn't a game. People are dying. People are suffering. Be kind.